the move towards affordable childcare for all Australians to be part of the legacy of the government that I'm proud to lead. We've already made a substantial difference. Our cheaper childcare's delivered $2,700 cheaper for people on $120,000 as a result of the commitments that we made prior to our election in 2022. I came to Brisbane last year and I announced the abolition of the activity test, the 3-day childcare guarantee, and $1 billion for childcare infrastructure where it wasn't available, particularly in our outer suburbs and in our regional communities. Cheaper childcare makes an enormous difference because it assists the 3 Ps as well as assisting families. The 3 Ps of productivity, participation and population, the way that you grow an economy, is all benefited by cheaper childcare. But in addition to that, at a time when families have needed cost of living relief, this is one of the ways that we've delivered it, along with cheaper medicines, along with our energy bill relief, along with our free TAFE and these measures. I must say as well, with free TAFE, what I have seen when I've gone into TAFEs is people studying construction, electrical, but also studying to be care workers, particularly women, but certainly not exclusively. People wanting to work in childcare, in aged care and in disability care. And free TAFE is making a difference there, and the Coalition have made it clear that free TAFE is gone if they are elected. This comes after they ripped money out of TAFE the last time they were in office and shut down trade training centres when they were in office during that 10 wasted years. My focus as well is on the pay of childcare workers. We had an outcome yesterday from the Fair Work Commission, an interim decision that spoke about the need to do more about gender pay equality. One of the things that my government did as part of our IR reforms was to put gender pay equity in as an objective of the Fair Work Act, something that had to be taken into account. I'm really proud that 62,000 workers in this sector have already benefited from the 15% pay increase that we legislated, and that as well, importantly, as part of that, childcare centres have a cap on the price increases as well. So good for workers, good for families. We know that feminised industries like childcare and aged care have been undervalued. They were heroes during the pandemic. They deserve more than our thanks. They deserve decent pay and conditions. And a precondition for keeping these sectors vibrant is ensuring that the workforce is properly looked after. Last night as well, just on one final comment if I can. If there's one thing that stunned me about last night, it was Peter Dutton being asked not a very difficult question about whether he agreed with the science on climate change. And effectively he said he's not a scientist and couldn't say. There were different views. I would have thought that the science is very clear on climate change. The fact that in 2025 you have someone running for Prime Minister who can't say that the science is clear, that climate change is real and it is happening, and the fact that not every extreme weather event, of course, is because of climate change. They were before. But as I said last night, they are more frequent and they're more intense. And when you have a tropical cyclone headed for the coastline here of southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales, then I don't know what it takes to give a wake-up call to the Coalition. But after a decade of denial and delay, it is time that we continue to have a government that understands the need to be part of global action on climate change. I'll hand to the Treasurer and then we're happy to take some questions.
Thanks, PM. Really big thank you to the staff and the little champions here at Good Start in Wishart, the southern suburbs of Brisbane. It's good to be almost home. And this is the second time in 6 days that Cara and I visited an early learning centre, and that's for two reasons. First of all, we believe in Cara Cook here in Bonna, and also because early childhood education and care is an absolutely crucial part of our economic plan. Early learning is a game changer for families and for our national economy as well. It's cost of living relief with an economic dividend, and the Prime Minister has run through that today. Later this morning we will get the most recent jobs numbers. What we already know is that under this Labor Prime Minister we have had the lowest average unemployment of any government in the last half a century. The lowest average unemployment rate under Anthony Albanese of any Prime Minister in the last 50 years. Under this Prime Minister, around 1 million jobs have been created in our economy, and that is also a record. And so when you put together what we're doing in early childhood education and care, with our approach to wages, with our approach to keeping unemployment low, and our tax cuts, the defining feature of this government is Australians earning more and keeping more of what they earn. And early learning is a really important part of the equation, because it makes it easier for parents to work more if they want to, so that they can earn more, and because of our tax cuts, because then they can keep more of what they earn as well. It is a source of considerable pride to us in Anthony's government that women on average are earning an extra $217 a week because of the steps that we have taken. I pay tribute to Katie Gallagher, the two employment ministers, the Prime Minister, for making sure that that outcome is the case. And so you can see the progress that we've made together to this point in our economy. Unemployment has been extraordinarily low at the same time as we've got inflation down. Real wages are growing again. We've got the debt down. Interest rates have started to come down, and growth is rebounding solidly in our economy as well. That is the progress that Australians have made together under this Prime Minister's leadership. And I ask you to consider in contrast, Peter Dutton last night made a humiliating concession and an extraordinary admission. A humiliating concession that he had verbaled the President of Indonesia, but also an extraordinary admission. And the extraordinary admission was this: sacking 40,000 people won't be enough for Peter Dutton to pay for his nuclear reactors. That's what he admitted last night. He will sack tens of thousands of Australians, but he won't stop there. And we know what that means. There is no way he can find the $600 billion he needs for his nuclear reactors without coming after Medicare again like he did when he was the Health Minister, without big cuts to health and education. And that's more or less what Peter Dutton admitted last night in the debate that Anthony won. He said that 40,000 Australians being sacked is just the beginning, that it won't be enough to cover his nuclear reactors policy that he couldn't explain. So as we get closer and closer to election day, one truth is becoming clearer and clearer. When Peter Dutton cuts, Australians will pay. Australians will be thousands of dollars worse off if Peter Dutton wins the election. And that's because the choice in this election is higher wages and lower taxes, immediate and ongoing help with the cost of living under Labor, or under Peter Dutton, higher taxes, lower wages, and secret cuts to pay for his nuclear reactors. And that brings me to the final point I make. I see that Peter Dutton has expressed some views this morning in the Australian newspaper about income taxes. Peter Dutton must think Australians are stupid. I mean, he is the only major political party leader that has taken to an election a policy to legislate higher income taxes on every single Australian taxpayer. I mean, this stuff is laughable. He has a policy to return less bracket creep, not to return more bracket creep. And so to see these views expressed on the front of one of the newspapers today is frankly ridiculous. If Peter Dutton wins this election, your income taxes will be higher, not lower. A vote for Peter Dutton is a vote for lower wages, higher taxes, and secret cuts to pay for his nuclear reactors.
Prime Minister.
James has joined us.
Thank you.
We'll go just a long way around.
Prime Minister, Russia's ambassador to Jakarta says, and I quote, military cooperation is an integral part of intergovernmental relations between the Russian Federation and the Republic of Indonesia. How do you reconcile with this statement after your government initially denied reports that Russia wanted to establish a military base in Indonesia? And do you maintain that position?
How do you reconcile the fact that the issue here is that Peter Dutton said that the Indonesian president had issued a statement saying that there would be a Russian Air Force base in West Papua? It was simply wrong. There is absolutely nothing has happened there. And it's just extraordinary that Peter Dutton has doubled down, including last night, and incredible that James Patterson, who has gone out there and essentially said, why didn't Labor know about something that is not happening? That is the question that has been asked. It's not happening. There's not a base. There was no statement from the Indonesian president, no statement from the Indonesian defence minister, no statement from the Indonesian foreign minister. And the question is, how could Peter Dutton, if he is successful on the 3rd of May, deal with the president of Indonesia, which is so important for Australia?
On childcare, yesterday the Fair Work Commission ordered a 30% pay rise for childcare workers. Will you fund that on top of that?
That's not right, with respect. That's not what they have found. What the Fair Work Commission found was that childcare workers are undervalued. They have said there needs to be a process gone through over a period of time, and they'll continue to do work on it. We welcome the Fair Work Commission report. We will work with the Fair Work Commission and work with the childcare sector, work with unions, work with workers as we go forward. But that is the decision that they have handed down.
So would you fund the pay claims on top of 15%?
That is not what they have handed down, to be clear.
They have recommended some level of pay increase. They've pointed out that discrepancy.
They have, but they've said a five-year process. They've said also what they will do. This is an interim report about the gender pay gap. We know that no government has done more to close the gender pay gap than my government. No government. And we recognise that feminised industries in particular have been undervalued. That's why we've provided a 15% pay increase for childcare workers. That's why we've provided in excess of 20% increase in aged care workers. That's why when we were last in government, we did the SACS Award, Social and Community Services Award. We need to work these issues through but to be clear, this is not a final determination by the Fair Work Commission. This is something that we've asked them to look at, and the gender pay gap is at historic lows as a result of the work that we have done.
Sorry, if I may actually ask a question. Once you work through that process, though, who will fund those pay rises to close that gender pay gap? Will it be the government?
Well, we're working through the process, and when we work through the process, that's what you do. You work with the Fair Work Commission. We'll continue to do that.
Noting that the fee cap under the worker retention payment finishes next year, obviously you're working through this process. Can you guarantee whatever pay rise comes through that families' fees won't go up at childcare centres?
What we have done is make sure as part of the condition, not only are we paying early educators more, but we're making sure that families don't pay higher fees. That's part of the arrangements that have been put in place. As I said, in places like Good Start here, 62,000 workers have already benefited from that.
Can you guarantee that beyond the next year though?
62. What I'm doing is answering questions now about what is happening right now. We'll work with the Fair Work Commission as we go forward.
But just to clarify, there's no money that's been set aside as a contingency to account for those future decisions?
What we're doing, well, you're asking with respect to ask, have we put money aside for potential